Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. If you want to join me on my live streams or get all your crypto daily updates in one day, check out the channels in my description and in the comments. That'll all be there. And please join my Twitter. That'll be all the announcements, plus extra stuff that you won't see on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. Anyways, let's go on to the topic, which is Bitcoin. What makes it tick? What clues can I actually count on to go up and down? Now, I am not a prophet, so these are my opinions, but these are what I've seen in the past recently that have actually worked pretty well for Bitcoin prices. The first one is the CME Futures expiry. You can go look on TradingView for where there are CME gaps. When you see CME gaps, that can actually tell you sort of how Bitcoin will move by the end of the month. Now, they're only about, from past experiences, they're only about 80%, 80, 90% accurate. They're not 100%. So it can move the other way if there's a large amount of sentiment. But based on past for the last several years, they're about 80% accurate. So they're much better than most indicators. But like I said, they're not 100%. It could go the other way. Kind of like in June last year where they did go the other way because there was some overriding sentiment. But futures expired. If there is a large CME gap above our current price, we generally move towards that price, but we don't make it all the way there. For instance, there was a gap at 11.2, and then we only made it to about 10.8. And then there was a gap, around 9,000, we only made it to about 8,000. So if there's a higher gap, we generally don't make it all the way there, but we do actually go part way. Now, if there is a lower gap, that's a different story. There's a lower gap, we usually do meet it, but only for a short amount of time. Like if there's a gap at 4,000, we might go to 4,000, but it might only stay there for a few hours or a day. So that is a good time to buy in. So the CME futures gaps are actually before the expiries, and the CME futures actually does expire the last Friday of each month. So be sure to keep that in mind. So the CME futures gaps are a pretty good indicator. Once again, these are all just indicators. They're not prophecies. So the CME futures indicator is one of the most accurate ones. Another one to tell how it will actually open the next day is stock market futures. Now, this didn't apply before the coronavirus, but ever since the pandemic hit, the crypto market has been following the stock market pretty precisely. And the crypto market might dump or pump more than the stock market, but generally it follows the same direction. As of today, the crypto market fell because the stock market fell because of the oil prices. So one way you can tell whether the stock market is actually going up or down, or opening up or down the next day at least, is to look at the pre-market or the futures. And the way you do that is go to CNBC, and up on the tabs, there's a pre-market tab, and you click on that and you can actually see where the futures are actually trading for the next day. Now, Monday's futures don't come out until Sunday. So that's one thing about the weekend. So generally, if the futures prices are down, crypto is probably going to at least open down the next day. Now, crypto doesn't really have an open, it's 24 hours, but generally going towards the time of the stock market open, it might actually go down. If the futures are up, going towards the time of the stock market open, it might actually go up. So take a look at that, and that is a pretty decent indicator. Once again, not 100% obviously, but a pretty decent indicator. The third thing is plus token movements. So generally, I don't really pay much attention to whale alerts, but when they say it's possibly a plus token movement to an exchange, I do pay attention because they do tend to scramble a lot of the Bitcoin addresses. They can't catch them all. If they're making a big movement, that could mean they are actually selling a lot. Plus token, I still believe, has about 60,000 tokens. They had about 200,000 originally. I thought they would sell out by now, but they still have about 60,000 tokens left. So if they make a big movement, they could be trying to sell all at once, and that could actually trigger a crash that only lasts a few hours or a day. So the third thing is plus token movements, and you can track that on whale alerts. The fourth thing is regulatory laws. Now, it used to be that when we get any kind of regulatory laws or regulation, it would swing the market a huge way. That doesn't really happen anymore, but generally the sentiment does follow, and you can see small movements upwards or downwards. Generally, let's say Russia bans Bitcoin. Well, then Bitcoin's probably going to move a couple hundred points downward over a day or two. If China, however, opens up Bitcoin, that might have a bigger effect. Like when India opened up to Bitcoin, the market did react, although very, very slowly and very, very mildly. But you can still get some news with regulatory news, definitely. And whether it's good or bad, like if a country is banning Bitcoin or opening back up to Bitcoin, you can see maybe a couple hundred points movement within a day or two generally. Pending that there's actually no other big news. Obviously, India opening up is no match for the global pandemic shutting everything down. So therefore, the regulatory news you can see, and you can generally see that on like Cointelegraph, CoinDesk, or you just have to keep up with crypto news. And we'll report on that once it actually comes out. The fifth thing and last thing is scams. And obviously this is a negative effect. Like CoinCheck hack had a negative effect on Bitcoin price. And other hacks are going to have other big effects on cryptocurrency price too. Generally, if an exchange gets hacked, the first thing they do go after is Bitcoin or Ethereum. If they go after Bitcoin, that generally shocks the market and it falls a few hundred points downward. Now, eventually, it can recover, but if there's several hacks in a row, like there sometimes has been, it will actually fall a lot more. Now, hacks for like DeFi stuff generally is not going to affect Bitcoin all that much, but they might actually affect that individual market for DeFi. If Ethereum gets hacked, it might not actually affect Bitcoin that much, but it will affect Ethereum. So these scams are generally like short-term movements. If Bitcoin basically gets hacked, it moves down in the short term, and then it probably resets and it goes back up. So check for that. Now these might be like $500-$600 shocks if there is a big hack like CoinCheck or like the whole Binance KYC thing. That wasn't actually a hack, but things like that will actually negatively affect the crypto market. So those are the 5 things you can actually look for to to see what makes Bitcoin tick, what makes Bitcoin move up or down. So let's go over those again. Futures expiry, you can check that at Live Coin Watch. Futures CME gaps, you can check that at Live Coin Watch. Stock market futures, you can always check that on CNBC after hours. It's the pre-market tab. Plus token moves, you can subscribe to whale alerts on Twitter. Regulatory news, and that you just have to follow the news. And scams, that you have to follow the news as well. So those are the 5 signals that I would look at to see whether Bitcoin's going to move up or down. Those are the most dependable signals. Yes, there are TA trading signals, but I kind of find those to be 50-50. So I'm not really sure like how good those actually are. Like double bottoms, double tops. Sometimes you have like triple or even quadruple bottoms and quadruple tops, and it's very, very hard to actually tell. But those are the 5 that I've actually found the most reliable. So that is the episode for today. Hope you like it. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.